If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
All right, still we are in the EWM basics. Essentially, we're talking about the what, why, why warehouse management and what's so great about EWM and the sort of overview, the process understanding and the documents that are used in the EWM, and as well the integration. Today we're going to see the integration, the system integration, and also the document integration. As usual, the disclaimer, please ensure that you're complying to this disclaimer bullets. Now let's continue. So where are we? We just talked about the two deployment options, the decentral vis-a-vis the embedded option, and also we know about this basic license and advanced license. I guess the basic license is part of the S4HANA, maybe, but the advanced license is a totally a different picture. It's quite, as I said, it comes with the block of delivery lines. So you just need to procure those many delivery lines up to 5,000 or up to 10,000, maybe, in that blocks. Then over the system connection, right? So between these two systems, if you want to integrate them, the ECC core and EWM, just keep in mind our training environment is embedded EWM. So our focus pretty much is on embedded EWM. Nevertheless, we will compare the decentral EWM also wherever it's applicable or whenever it's applicable. So the basis activities, basis consultants, they do some activities like defining the RFC destination and creating an RFC user and logical system definition and assignment of the logical system to the client, and also those activation of the business function switches and BT for the change pointers. Whenever there's a change to the master data, the change gets replicated to the EWM decentral environment. Right? The embedded, it just being the same system, there is no need for any master data replication. Also, the BC sets activation and the QRFC settings. For both embedded and decentral, the QRFC settings are applicable. Regardless of the deployment option, the delivery documents flow between these two instances or between these two systems through the QRFC. So then the functional consultants, they just need to extend the planned storage location, basically assigning the storage location to the warehouse, the intermediate warehouse. Why intermediate warehouse is a technical requirement, and it just a flag bearer, it just carries the linkage to the EWM system. Create shipping point, and also the shipping point is also applicable, especially when it's like decentral EWM. Assign warehouse number to plant and storage location. First we have to define, and then we need to assign the elements, the org elements, plant and nest lock to the warehouse number. And the last setting, maintain the EWM specific parameters, wherein we activate the warehouse for the EWM. And also we say whether the distribution is immediate or a delayed distribution. And also some other attributes like the batch determination and serial number management and so on and so forth. Yearly logistics execution prerequisites, the plant needs to be there, and the shipping point assignment has to be there. If you're going in a fresh implementation, you just need to ensure that the other streams or the consultants and the SD consultants, they have done their part of the configuration. So assign goods receiving point for inbound deliveries. These are required for the goods receiving points are just counterpart of shipping points. So those are required for inbound delivery creation. And there is a delivery split function. This split is different from the one which we discussed earlier. Earlier we discussed about the late outbound delivery split, meaning when we load the pallets onto a truck, at that point in time, if we figure out that all of them planned may not be loaded, then we trigger a split. That is a late outbound delivery split, and this is, I would say, sort of early outbound delivery split. The purchase order or the sales order can be a mixed bag. When I say mixed bag, meaning the line items can belong to different warehouses or different plants, essentially different warehouses. But when it comes to delivery, we cannot afford to have a mixed bag, meaning we can't deliver items belonging to two different warehouses in a single delivery, right? So those items which has to be delivered from a single warehouse has to be in one delivery. So that's the main reason of activating the delivery split. And delivery split is at two levels, the warehouse number level and also at the delivery type level. We will discuss, what is the benefit of having control at both the levels, and how we can achieve the desired outcomes. The confirmation control key we talked about for PO and STO for both the orders, type of orders, purchase orders, or essentially these are purchase orders only. One is like the vendor procurement, the other one is between plans or maybe within the same company or different company, the stock transport orders. And finally, we need to generate the distribution model. The distribution model, you guys at this point may be knowing that it's required to send the delivery documents. Essentially, there are BAPIs which are moving these deliveries via QRFCs. Any questions on this slide?
Um, Rajan, Aditya here. I have one question.
Hmm.
So in this case, the confirmation control key for STO we are talking about, right? So it is only required if my receiving plant storage location is EWM managed, right? If only my the sending plant is EWM managed, then there is no requirement of confirmation control key, right?
Sending plant, yes. Sending plant just deals with the deliveries. No need for confirmation
Yeah.
control. Confirmation control key means, I mean, the STO is for the receiving plant only. So yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. So how many participants we have? Pretty much, right? Everyone. 11 minus 2. Yeah, 9 of them. Shravan, Sivakumar, whom we are missing, Sverna, I guess. All right. So I'm just going through the basis activities, not to be bothered much. These are anyway basis thing. There are in fact integration guides available in some of the notes. Essentially two guides, one for the embedded, another one for decentral. Sort of cookbook. We can just work closely with the basis consultants and then get the system setup done, or get the system up and running maybe in days time, or couple of days time maximum. So the basis, as I said, they define the RFC destinations and then also marry or assign the logical system to the client. So this is a basis activity. Step number one, I would say this is a prerequisite, and then basis once they are done, then we got to do, we as a functional consultants or EWM consultants, we should know that the plant S-lock, ensure that how many S-locks. Typically in EWM implementation, we don't expect, tens or twenties of storage locations. Ideally, it should be kept, in the bare minimum, unless and until the ECC or the other the logistics or the manufacturing, stakeholders, they want to have visibility of the stocks. For example, certain stocks have to be protected for customers, certain special customers, or you want to see the stocks that are in a different building, maybe, or the production staging area or the production supply area. The people would like to want the visibility of those stocks, or customer return stocks. You want to keep them separately, wherein the other stakeholders, meaning the other modules, they want to have the visibility, uh, because they can't come to EWM, or the EWM application. Even it's monitored, it's quite difficult for them to get into the EWM application and toggle them, and then explore those stock which are there in a specific storage type. So it's better to give the storage location, so that could be the main reason. Otherwise, we expect a few locations. Maybe if the implementation has a need for two locations, uh, ROD, received on dock, and AFS, meaning the client says the stock needs to be made available only after the final put away. Till the time it may be going through some value added activities like quality inspection or VAS. Till the time it shouldn't be made available to the customers. For that scenario, we might require two locations. Else, one storage location is good enough. Similarly, you may be needing, if you're implementing production integration, there may be one more location required, and another location maybe for transportation cross docking. So the key takeaway or the bottom line is the storage location in a EWM implementation should be kept to the bare minimum. And in our scenario, we have two locations, AFS available for sale and ROD received on dock. So these two locations are assigned to the intermediate warehouse. And the warehouse is enabled for EWM and all the other attributes we have discussed earlier. Um, any pointers or any questions on this, clarification on this slide? Okay. Step 3, basis activity. For embedded customer, SAP has provided a tool-based wizard so that, the tool-based, these two nodes essentially, the system connection is the one done by basis, and warehouse integration is the one done by the functional EWM functional. So the system connection, when they pass through the wizard, it will guide them, and then after doing this tool-based wizard, these are the tables or config getting updated. I just go through them briefly. So there is a business system group getting created, and we talked about the logical system. Even if it's a embedded EWM, we need to create a dummy logical system. So the dummy logical system is required, and if it's a decentral WM, we need to maintain both the records, and put them in a group. Uh, in a business system group, we just need to specify which are the two systems or the pair of systems, the ECC system and EWM dummy system. Both needs to be there. In the case of decentral, it's not a dummy system; it's a real system. But for decentral, for embedded, you can just give the ECC alone. There is no need to specify the dummy. If you see this screenshot, this I have taken for the embedded, and this may be the screenshot which is applicable for a decentral. Decentral, the bottom line is we need to give both the systems, and for embedded, just one ECC is good enough. No need to give the dummy. And define one business system. There's one more setting where we need to give the business system of ECC in the case of embedded, and for decentral, we just need to give the EWM system. That is the local system, I would say, barring the dummy system. And these are the settings which happens automatically when the basis consultants use this tool based, or they can directly go and maintain this configuration tables. Any questions on the slide? So why do we need business system group? Anyone has any idea? What's the main usage of business system group? Just not used in EWM. It's also used in APO. No idea. Okay. So here there are assuming there is a multiple ECC can point to one EWM. See here, multiple ECC pointing to one EWM, or the other way around, one ECC pointing to multiple EWM. So both the scenarios are possible. This is like applicable for decentral, right? It's not applicable for embedded. Just keep in mind. In this kind of setup, right? We need to know whenever, for example, EWM2, if it has to send a GR message or a goods issue message, a goods receipt message or a goods issue message, it needs to know for which target system it has to send the communication, right? It can potentially go to ECC1 or to ECC2. So in order to avoid that ambiguity, the business system group will help us, especially for the reverse communication. in order to know which ECC to be called. That's where the business system group will play a role in a complex landscape like this. Multiple one-to-many relationship or many-to-one relationship. So here, if you see ECC1 and EWM1 is put in group 1. Similarly, ECC1 and EWM2 is group 2. Likewise, we are forming several groups. And in the EWM delivery, inbound delivery, the business system is captured. Thereby, it knows that the PPF is the one sending the goods receipt message, or for that matter, any communication back to ECC. It could be a change or it could be a delivery split, batch split, all that communications. It has to know to which target system it has to send. So this is the main reason, for having the business system group. Uh, um, any more clarification required? Just feel free to stop me. Is it clear the business system group significance?
Yes, Raj.
Okay. So now we'll move on. The basis activities after completing the tool-based wizard, these are the tables getting populated, the config tables. In our case, we can't run the tool-based wizard. It's already done. All that you got to do is go to the tables and verify them. No need to change them, especially the basis activities. Don't try to change the system settings. Uh, Comes to warehouse integration, the next step number 4, which is done by the functional guys. So here, after going through this wizard, the warehouse number is created, the EWM warehouse number is created with basic controls, and also the assignment of the dummy system, sorry, assignment of the intermediate warehouse to the main warehouse happens, and also the planned storage location or map to the availability group. I'll just cover this availability group, the significance of it when we do the GR topic. As of now, you can just imagine that there is no concept of storage location in EWM. In lieu of that, we have something called a stock category or stock type, which is pretty much aligned with the planning module or the APO or the IBP module. So just keep in mind there is no concept of storage location in EWM. So that's why there is an interface table. All the interface tables are maintained either at the business system level or at the logical system level. Um, Here, the planned storage location is assigned to the availability group, and the availability group in turn is assigned to the stock type. And also, we are activating whether advanced features are required or just a basic license or the basic features. And also, it creates a supply chain unit. On the left hand side, you see these are sort of master data, or these transactions are there in the index screen, and these are configuration on the right hand side. So it creates a supply chain unit also. The supply chain unit is required to bring in the address, the latitude, the longitude, and zone information. And over and above that, it has some other attributes, especially the INV is mandatory because the coding logic is like written based on that INV attribute. So these are technical requirements. Just we need to maintain the attribute INV, and also the supply chain unit is assigned to the warehouse. It is mandatory, one warehouse, one supply chain unit. In the case of multi-plan single warehouse, there would be two two plans, but still no problem. Both of them we assume it's in the same address or in the region or time zones. But in the case of single plan multi warehouse, then it's slightly tricky. We need to have two supply chain units created. uh, Maybe we have the advantage or flexibility in having two different addresses for those warehouses. Okay, then what happens is step number 5 is the distribution model generation. This I showed you on the other day at a very high level. So here we are defining the dummy system in our case. The dummy, keep in mind, just only for embedded implementation, the dummy logical system. Otherwise, for decentral, it's anyway a regular logical system. Now, as I said, for a given landscape, we can't run two or three models. It just needs to be one model, and you execute them. You get all the BAPIs here, the methods. ultimately the function module being called delivery change and delivery replica, uh, one for inbound, another one for outbound. And then there are some prerequisites or some important considerations, I would say, which we talked about, defaulting the confirmation control key, and also the delivery split, which we just now talked about, right? To avoid a mixed bag scenario in the delivery, we activate the delivery split. And the pivot tolerance check, it makes sense to give the control to EWM, especially when there are multiple notifications or multiple inbound deliveries against a single PO. So the EWM system can verify the tolerance. Any questions on this slide and on the previous slides as well?
Rajan, could you explain on the availability group and that there was some disposal, something is mentioned, right, in the previous slide?
Yeah, the disposal is nothing but your plant code. And
Mm-hmm.
availability group, you can imagine, right? These are like two tables basically. Table one is plant storage location assigned to the availability group. And there's another table, table two, wherein the availability group is in turn assigned to the stock type. Okay, as I said, there is no storage location concept in EWM, so that's why we have stock type, and the stock type brings in two dimensions. One is the stock type itself, the other one is storage location. When we say F1, that means it's unrestricted stock in ROD. When we say F2, it means unrestricted stock in AFS location. Got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
So
just hold it.
yeah.
Like when we discuss the GR processes or the inbound GR process, then we will appreciate this availability group, the ROD, the AFS, the significance of two locations.
Okay.
Okay, then we, as I said, the distribution control, right, is at the two levels. Here at the warehouse number level, we have the distribution control, and also at the delivery type level, we have the distribution control. And we know this, whether it's a decentral EWM or a embedded EWM, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the transactional data, it's all through QRFC only. So for decentral EWM, it goes through QRFC, thanks to the distribution model. And same for embedded EWM also, the communication happens through QRFC distribution model. And the communication from EWM to the S4 core, it happens by QRFC. For that, we don't need the distribution model. The business system group is just good enough. But still, we use QRFC. The QRFC is used both ways, but the distribution model is required only one way. For the reverse communication, it doesn't need a distribution model. Understood? Hello? All good? Okay, so why do we have the controls at both the places? For example, the end result, if you want to stop the delivery distribution, meaning you don't want to do an immediate distribution, then at the warehouse level, we can say stop it. And at the delivery type level, we can say check warehouse level setting. Okay. Or if you want to distribute them immediately for certain deliveries, you can say at the delivery type level, look at the warehouse level. And here we can say immediate. The main idea is some deliveries you want to distribute immediately. The other deliveries, maybe you want to delay the distribution. So for that reason, we have control at both the levels, at the warehouse level and also at the delivery type level. Okay, now I'm going to set up my warehouse. You just watch me doing, and then you can just give it a shot. We are going to do the setup. As I said, pretty much these are done, and these are NetWeaver enabled transaction. Especially, I'll show you the wizard, but you're not going to do the wizard. If at all you want to do it, you can just navigate them and back off, uh, without saving them in the transport. Yeah. And finally, we're going to verify the configuration entries, the one which we talked about in the previous slides, whether your warehouse is good enough. Or basically, you are checking, and then if the entries are not there, you're going to maintain those entries. right? Now let's see 1, 2, 3 exercises. I have these exercises here. You may be hearing some background noises. There is a death happened in my neighbor's place, so they're just people are carrying out that funeral. Sorry about that. Okay, now here you see the objective. I've just given a paragraph. You can just go through them. That's more important. Review the existing storage location ROD and AFS maintained, and these wherever you see this symbol, you just need to hash symbol. You need to replace it with your group ID, the group allocation. Right? I have allocated the group numbers for the individual participants. So you can use your group ID. Um, in my case, I'm just going to take some values. For example, 17 values number. So it's going to be AS 17 and RD 17. And my values is E17, the intermediate values, and the main values is EW 17. This is a tool-based wizard. So we are not touching the basis one. We're just going to run through this functional one. And then before that, checking the prerequisites, whether the storage locations are there and the intermediate values is just created or not. It's basically definition. No other settings we do. This is the same transaction wherein we create the values for ECC values management, right? The same transaction, just a definition and then the meaningful description. Because at the end of the day, this is a description shown in the delivery documents, you know. So finally, we do the assignment. Plant storage location is assigned to the warehouse number, and this setting we know, right? We are enabling the warehouse for EWM management, and and then what we're going to do is like after setting up the prerequisites above, we run this tool-based wizard. We just create a data set for individual warehouses, and then we can just navigate by clicking the step 2, step 3, step 4 likewise, or you can just click the button at the bottom. There is one more navigation button at the bottom. um, Here we see the step number 2. Let me zoom in a bit. Step number 2, you need to create you need to give the EWM dummy system at the bottom, and on the top we give the ECC logical system. So here it's the ECC logical system and it's dummy EWM system. 5.3, we give the warehouse number, whatever code you want, the 4-digit alphanumeric, and also the intermediate code, a 3-digit code and then the 4-digit code. um, and the fifth and then the fourth step is a supply chain unit. It just SAP comes out with the proposal, whether SCU underscore or SCU hyphen you want. It's up to you. If you want to rename it, you can just override it. Not a problem. You can just overwrite it. And availability group, um, again, don't get to the detail level, but at least at this point in time, we know there are 2 storage locations. So the availability group map to AFS location is 002. And for this, we are having all the odd numbers. For instance, even numbers, F2, Q4, B6, and R8. F2 is unrestricted and Q4 is quality. R8 is customer return stock. As I said, it's just not stock type alone. When I say F2, it means unrestricted in location, AFS location. Similarly, when we switch the button, radio button to ROD, in this case, it would be all the odd numbers, F1, Q3, B5, R7, and S5. Meaning F1 is unrestricted and it's an ROD location. So this particular stock type is qualifying 2 attributes. One is the stock type and another one is the location, because we don't have a location in EWM. Then the last one is the number ranges. If you want to just create all the standard number ranges from the template values or model values, we can copy them. Else we can do this as a an explicit step. Finally, you can see the log and then save it. In our case, we are going to just change the text and run the show, eventually, we don't not going to save this and then overwrite the entries. Rather, we just back off. It is just to know that after doing this, we were supposed to verify the configuration tables as a outcome of this activity. So the outcome of this activity is shown in exercise number two. Exercise number two, after running the wizard, the actual wizard, maybe we are doing only simulation. Nevertheless, you need to verify if there are any missing entries here. So this exercise number two, sort of verify if the entries are there, it's okay. But if it's not there, it's your responsibility to maintain the entries. So the idea, simple idea is we are not using the wizard. At the same time, we just get a feel of the wizard by going through them and finally not saving and just coming out without saving. Any questions on that exercise number one?
Uh,
Hello?
Rajan, question
Yeah,
on number ranges. So
yeah,
normally in ECCWM, it allows us to have a number range at a warehouse level, right?
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So in EWM also we can have it at a warehouse level, or we can keep it at a client level.
No, no, in EWM also the number ranges for the warehouse documents is at the warehouse level only, like tasks, warehouse orders,
Yeah.
your physical inventory numbers. Yeah, all at
And
warehouse number level.
okay, and you also mentioned for the I inbound delivery the ID and that ODO, we can simulate that, or we can ensure that it has the same number as what is there in ECC, or sorry, what
Right,
is there in ERP, right?
correct. The LE
So
number can be,
yeah,
the same number range can be used in EWM.
so that setting we'll do in that wizard only, or it has to be done separately.
That's a good point. How much the wizard will. That's a good point. Mm, let's see. But for let's see the decentral, I know the configuration setting, but for embedded, let's check. Just make a note of it. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Now here, as I said, the exercise two is quite important. Exercise one is just we are getting a feel of the wizard, but actually speaking, we are not saving them in any transport. We're just taking it and then maybe changing the text and running the show. And I would request not to save it in maybe it will overwrite and it will impact the settings that are already there. So now, if as I said, you can just go clinically in these notes, basically the outcome of that wizard, and then if the entries are not maintained, you can just maintain them. Here, if you see in exercise number two, the EWM warehouse number is created, and some basic controls are there. We will talk about the controls at the warehouse number level. Then, um, as I said, the intermediate warehouse is assigned to the main warehouse, right? Actual warehouse code. Then the storage locations are planned storage location assignment to the availability group is done, right? And also the stock types, the availability group in turn assigned to the stock type. This is like a two table entry, similar to your what is it? A material type linked to the valuation class via the account grouping or something, right? Account modifier, account grouping, something. Or you can assume that even the approach is similar to your inventory management movement type, linked to the warehouse management movement type via the the reference movement type. So similar approach. There are two tables required. One for the plant storage location assignment to the availability group, and the second table for the availability group, in turn assignment to the stock type. So now this we know whether advanced function or the basic function, and then supply chain unit we need to verify, right? The supply chain unit, is it created? And I missed one more screenshot, the last but the important one, wherein the supply chain unit is assigned to the warehouse number. Oh, this is the one. Sorry, supply chain unit is assigned to the warehouse number, but I didn't show the supply chain unit display. Wherein we need to explore the address information and also the attributes which we talked about. Those are important attributes. So I'm going to enable. Just watch me doing. Don't worry about this. This is quite self-explanatory, and this is designed for the the virtual world only, the virtual trainings only. So it's most of the exercise material will be in 5 to 7 pages or 8 pages. Some interesting exercises or some lengthy ones will not exceed even more than 13 or 14 pages. Yeah, and I have given clearly, whether a config step or a easy access step. You know, and then it should be fairly simple. And it has gone through 5 or 6 iterations, so it's quite robust only. Even if you find some bug, let me know. I can correct them. Not a problem. Now, I'm just going through the system to complete these 2 exercises. As I said, I will take one of the warehouse and just do it like you guys, were supposed to do. The system is slightly slow today. Um, let's see how it goes. So the first thing what we're gonna do is like just watch me. Anyway, these are there in the exercise number 1 and 2. So as I said, first I'm going to check the definition, the existence of location. So directly I go to the, even I can come here, definition, materials management, maintain storage location. So let's take, all of us are using the same plant code 1710. It's just a single plant multi-warehouse 1710. And my locations it should be AS17 and RD17. Okay, both of them are already there. So RD17 and AS17, it's already exist, so no need to do anything. Then I just go to the assignment and LE logistics execution. Here I select this one and check for my warehouse. Go to selection by contents, and my warehouse number is EW17, and the intermediate warehouse code is E17. Right? Choose. So it has both the locations assigned, AS17 and RD17. Fine. So this step is also done, the prerequisites. Okay. Then we talked about the delivery split, right? So the delivery split, whether it's enabled or not, just go here to the execution, shipping, deliveries, delivery split, right? Define delivery split criteria for deliveries. So whether the delivery split is enabled or not. I don't bother much about the delivery type because we are using the standard delivery types like LF or uh, LO. So this should be activated, for that, or for that matter, LF or LO we are using without reference outbound delivery, and also EL, for the inbound. So these three are, pretty much activated. No uh, action required. Let's see, for the warehouse number, we need to activate the delivery split. So anyone, why do we need the delivery split? Have you guys understood? Can anyone explain to me why delivery split is required?
Yeah, it's purely because at the warehouse, um, it's for a delivery. We can't just physically also just can't go to the two
Yeah,
different
different
locations.
warehouses,
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas the purchase order or the sales order can have a mixed bag scenario, meaning the items can belong to multiple warehouses. When they're taking in the order, they don't really bother whether it's like, for example, the sales clerk or the CRM order entry is happening in Singapore, and the delivery has to be distributed or dispatched or shipped out from Malaysia, some from Thailand. So regardless of that, the order entry happens in the central instance or the core system, in Singapore, and then it can have multiple line items. Some are delivered from the Malaysia warehouse, some from the the Thailand warehouse. Yeah. So E17, I have enabled it for for my warehouse, and then hmm, okay. So there's a place where the tolerance check is the control is given to EWM. The PO tolerance, right, for over delivery or under delivery tolerance. So this is the place, logistics execution, EWM integration, and then the extended inbound delivery processing. Here we have the tolerance check indicator. So the tolerance check, don't know whether slowness is from my end or from that end. So just a checkbox that needs to be, preferably activated. This makes sense when there are multiple shipments against the same PO line. The EWM system will keep a tab, considering, for example, the PO quantity is 100 and the vendor sends the first ASN for 16, the second one for maybe 30, and when the third one comes for the 15, then the system will check. Okay, it is exceeding 100. And then it will block the delivery or it will allow him, based on the tolerance. If you are given some 10% tolerance, it will accept. Okay, so then we talked about what the activating the warehouse, right? The basic settings. Here we need to specify the EWM specific parameters we need to maintain. So for my warehouse E17, the by default it would be local WM. So I just maintain EWM, and also when I press enter, the other checkboxes becomes active, and then the batch determination EWM and QRFC. We know the communication is QRFC, and also just in case the delivery changes allowed. This is for the outbound delivery changes, yeah, and only for embedded. Now I save this config. Done. Now I will just run through the visa just for your purpose. But in order to run this visa, you need to put in a file in your host. For that you need the admin access. We need to update some entries in your IP address in your host file entry, the Windows host file entry. So there could be some challenges. Anyway, I will share that document for you guys. As I said, don't worry. If you watch me doing, that's good enough. I'll just run through the tool-based wizard, EWM integration, EWM, and then this interface. So here we have ERP integration, the tool-based integration. So as I said, this one is for the basis consultant and this is for us. So I just run through this. It will launch the NetViewer client. So for this, you need to maintain a file entry. Um, hmm. uh, Getting server error. Okay, so even if you're not doing it, that's fine. You just go and check the config tables. like you just go one by one. Let's take the general settings first. This we talked about, right? Define own business system. So here, this is a ECC system, right? Because for embedded, we said it's just a local system. And for EWM, this needs to be the EWM business system. The decentral EWM, this needs to be the EWM business system. Now here we say this is a ECC business system, and the flag is set. When we set the flag, that means it just denotes that it's ECC. If the flag is not set, that's EWM. So if you check our slide, so as I said, in the case of decentral EWM, both the records are required. So uh, yeah, these two records or those two logical systems are required only for decentral EWM. But for embedded, just a ECC is good enough. We don't want the dummy system, right? So that's why we have only the ECC system and we don't see the dummy system record. Now the next step is assign warehouse number, right? This is where I connect my intermediate warehouse to my main warehouse. So I just say E17 is pointing to EW17. All right, done. The next thing is this you could understand define one business system, and then the this is your local system, and assign warehouse number for the intermediate warehouse number to the actual warehouse number, and we will just move on to the goods movement, and here we map the storage location from ERP to the EWM. So here I select for instance RD07, and then I copy it and create my record for my warehouse. The location is AS17 and RD17 pointing to EW17. Yeah. And the availability group is 1 and 2. 1 for ROD and 2 for AFS location. And we all of us are using the same plant code, single plant multi-warehouse. So it's a disposal or a party entitled to dispose, all one and the same. So when you say disposal, the party who is authorized to, dispose or scrap the goods is the PED, party entitled to dispose. Okay. Now we are done with the verification, meaning the exercise number 2 is completed. If you want to just quickly, I'll go through that one more time. The exercise number 2. Verify if required, you maintain the entries because anyway we are not going to use the tool. Uh, Define warehouse number, done, and then we can check the controls at the warehouse number level. At this point in time, if we see the warehouse number level control, so master data, define warehouse number control. So here EW17, we maintain some global settings here, like the weight unit, the volume unit, or the warehouse calendar, the time unit. These entries are maintained here, and also some other special WPTs and some special, packaging specification procedures are maintained. Your packing procedures are maintained. We will cover them, when we do the scenarios. You'll appreciate a lot. At this point in time, you see there are some special warehouse process type. When we say warehouse process type, this can be sort of loosely compared with your WM movement type, not with the IM movement type, because IM movement type are quite complex in terms of the value string, the quantity strings, and many features are there. But this WPT can be compared with your WM movement type. WPT, in nutshell, it is required to create the task. Without WPT, there is no task getting created. These are the important settings at this point in time. We just try to appreciate this frame, the global data, which is maintained at the warehouse number level. And as I said, the license is coming here, acknowledge use of advanced functions. If you are using advanced license, then you activate this EWM. The setting is A, usage mode, else it's B. These are the config getting populated if you complete the wizard. Okay, done. Any questions? I'll show you the table 2 also. Table number 2 is where the availability group is mapped to the stock type. So it's your goods receipt, configure availability group. So this is the one. You know, right? In ECC, also we have only four stock types. So what are the non-location specific stock type or global stock types? All that we know is unrestricted, quality inspection, customer return stock. It's neither customer stock nor your stock till you do your analysis, or once it's clarified or verified, then you know it's whether it's a customer's mistake or your mistake, or it may be a carrier's mistake as well. So you take a call and then you decide whether to scrap it or take it and then maybe sell it at cheaper rate. Okay, these are the four stock types. Even if you go to the MMBE, you might be seeing these four stock types only. So let's take any material LP107 for that matter. So just go inside. And you see these are the stock types, the four stock types which we talked about. Just double click here and you see unrestricted here, quality inspection and customer returns. And there is a block stock, not to be confused with GR block stock. There is another block stock. I think this is the one, block stock. So we have these four stock types in EWM as well. And the availability group in turn map to the stock type. So you see in my warehouse, EW17. Okay, we have F1 pointing to one availability group and F2 pointing to two. Both are unrestricted only. So that's why I was telling that this stock type is having both attributes, built in the same key. One single key carries both the attributes. What are the two attributes? One is the storage location, another one is the stock type itself. S- Any questions on this understanding? And why there are two locations? What is the subtle difference between the AFS and all those things? You will learn little later. For the time being, you just appreciate that there's a need for two locations. It's not mandatory. As I said, some clients, they may be doing trading, just buying and selling. There is no value added activity like quality or value added services. So for those clients, just a single location is good enough. AFS is good enough. Okay, I'll just pause here for a few moments and take some questions.
So, Rajan, here we talked about four stock types, right? So in ERP we have some special stocks also. So how will that
Special
be
stocks
handled?
also are mapped in EWM. There is something called a type and usage. So through that we handle the special stocks like the RTP, the consignment, the project stock, or the
Yeah.
WBS. Yeah, those stocks are all supported in EWM. So whenever we say these three stock qualifying attributes, there are three things coming together. I would say the three musketeers: stock type, type usage. Yeah, stock type is the one just now we are discussing. There are two more, fields or there: type and usage. Maybe I'll show it now, so that you could just close the chapter immediately. Just bear with me. I had to call that person. It's quite slow today. Um, anyway, I informed him. He's hopefully working on that. Finally, this came. The visa came, and let me see if I can run this visa. So don't if you could add the file in your folder, right? The Windows folder. If you are using the company laptop, maybe you need to get the admin ads. It's quite challenging there. So let's see if I take any data set for that matter. So I take my warehouse number EW17, all right, and then just manipulate it. If it's quite very slow, then I will just throw the towel. Let's see. Uh, um, I don't think. Hmm. So this itself is slow. The direct access, you can just imagine about the NetWeaver access. Now, where are we? I'm supposed to show you the inbound delivery for the type and usage, right? Okay. I open another session, PRDI. Now let me take an inbound delivery. Oh, 442 is an EWXX warehouse. Okay. So just go to the EWXX warehouse, the template warehouse. And I just want to show you the type and usage. So as I said, sorry, not at the header level, the item level. So the item level, we are having the three attributes, right? Stock type, which just now we talked about. This itself is having two qualifiers. And then the type is your type means project stock or sales order stock. And then the usage is your usage. Can you guys see the usage? Stock type, type, and usage is, where is the usage? Usage is here. Okay. So the usage talks about the RTP and consignment. Clear? In that way, we handle the special stocks in EWM.
Yeah.
Okay, now moving on. Um, so here, if you want to just change the data set, maybe add a suffix and then put them in a, okay, maybe create your own request. Just keep one request for you guys, like one request per participant. In my case, I have my TCS June batch, right? TCS June batch, and I just can toggle from here, or I can just click here, this system selection. So this is where we select the ECC system, and here we can select EWM dummy system. And the next step is, that's why we have the prerequisites. The basis consultants has to create these entries before we run this wizard. So that's why if you noticed or observed my PPT slides, I said step one prerequisite, step two, then we can run this wizard. Yeah. So the warehouse definition, here we can give a meaningful name. I just take the same name, EW17, and I just go with the advanced functions, not the basic one. And also the intermediate warehouse, E17, right? And then keep moving. And then it just comes out with some proposal. If you want, you can change it as well. Since I am just already the thing exists, it's not allowing me, but if you are doing first time, then you can change it to underscore, or whatever. If you don't like the prefix SCU, you can just give some other prefix. Okay, so this is the one. I'll just cover these things shortly, but just hold on. Custodian, for time being, that custodian is the one who manages the warehouse. For example, this makes sense in a 3PL context. Actually, 3PL context, it makes sense. The one who is managing the warehouse is the custodian. And we talked about the PED. The PED is nothing but your plant as the business partner. And supply chain unit is the one which brings in the address, the other information, the region information. And then the availability group, as you might have seen in the document also. Currently, we have two locations mapped to our warehouse. So the first location is AFS and availability group 002. For that, we have all the stock types. Similarly, when I switch the radio button to the one availability group, then we have the odd numbers. Okay, done. Then the number ranges. Then finally activation. So this is what I'm saying. Don't save it. It might overwrite and it might impact your warehouse. Just appreciate the log and then just back off. Don't put them in a request and then don't say create and activate them, or don't press this button, activate button. Just back off. This is just to show you, how to run this wizard. It's nothing great. Just it updates some config tables. Anyway, we know which tables are getting updated. Either you can work in expert mode or in a non-expert mode by using this wizard. Any questions on this? And keep in mind, this is only for embedded, but for decentral, you just need to work in expert mode only. Meaning you have to use that cookbook or the integration guide, and set up the system. So I'm going to leave this page done. Now let's continue. So as I said, it's all clearly given. Step one, basis consultant, the prerequisites needs to be there. Step two, functional, our org elements and activation of the warehouse number. And step number three is again basis, running the wizard hopefully. And after running the wizard, these are the tables getting populated. And now you know the significance of business system group, especially in a complex system landscape directory, multiple ERP pointing to one EWM and one ECC pointing to multiple EWM. The EWM system should know where to send the communication back. But for a embedded system is not a big deal. That's why we just play it at, we just keep a low profile, or rather we maintain a simple record just for the technical sake of it actually, because in an embedded environment there is no question of multiple connections to one or one to many. No, nothing of that sort is supported in embedded environment. Then this thing we know, this is what I just now showed you by just running the wizard, or you can directly go and maintain the entries, or if it is not there, most likely some of them might not be there, yeah, so just ensure. And we know about these settings, yeah, the delivery split and the pivot tolerance. And now I'm going to generate the distribution model. Okay, so how to generate the distribution model? Just go back. I think the session might have, let me just go here. Go to SPRO. Okay, just timed out. Any questions? You just feel free to.
Rajan, two questions. One is related to that part custodian and disposal, right? So
Mm.
those are business partners you mentioned, like BP 1710, like
Yeah,
that. It was
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So when we do this wizard, automatically those business partners will be created in the background, or we have to create those business partners first and then assign it here.
Mm.
Like
I
if
think
it's a new plant.
the plant, I think you had to set up the BP earlier. The BP has to be created before. I don't think the visa is creating the BP. The BP, the supply chain unit is created for sure, but the BP, we have to see whether the visa creates or you need to create before. And I'm not 100% sure, because I am not a great fan of this visa. But yes, there are some things which the visa can do, meaning the supply chain unit for sure it's creating, but BP I'm not 100% sure.
But in a decentralized EWM,
Decentralized,
we
anyway,
have to
the
create.
visa is not applicable.
Not applicable. So we have to create the BP. Like with which role normally we create? Like
The BP you need to it's slightly tricky. You just need to follow the integration guide. It will tell you
okay,
there is a good two or three sections talking about the BP integration. It's not a great CVI concept, the customer vendor integration concept, but there is a mini module of CVI, I would say, wherein the number ranges are a bit tricky. The account grouping, the number ranges has to be carefully mapped.
okay.
But the
Yeah.
good news is in embedded, nothing to be worried, right? That's the beauty of embedded.
And one more question is the availability groups. Like for 001, let us say.
Yeah, let me just
I
step
can.
back. Sorry, here. The embedded system, the BP is created immediately, right, using the mapping. So there's no need for the wizard also to create the BP. Yeah, we just need to
Okay.
select the BP maybe. Yeah,
And and the
yeah.
next
Go ahead.
question
Go
is
ahead.
related
Yeah,
to availability groups. So for 001, I can, for all the four stock types, you mentioned odd numbers or even, I can keep F1, Q1, B1,
yeah,
R1
yeah. F1.
that way
That's
also, right?
nice. I like the. I don't like the even odd concept. Even myself, you can just keep F1 series for one location, F2 series. The two series for another location,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
like
That's what
Z1,
I
Y1. Yeah, that's much cleaner or neater approach, right? I mean, it's instead of getting confused with the odd numbers, even numbers, that would be a neat and clean approach.
okay. So there is no restrict. It's up to us how we
It's up to
maintain.
you guys. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Even F1, F2, if you don't like it, you can say X1, Y1, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
All right. Now, the distribution model, right? So sorry, logistics execution, EWM. Here, this is the one, generate distribution model. But just keep in mind, this model needs to be generated for every client. For example, your integration client or your training client or production as well. But most likely the production system, it would be locked. So you got to do this instead of here, you got to do it in BD64. I'll show you anyways. So here for my warehouse E17, I just give the dummy EWM system. So it says EWM system. So I got just give the dummy one. So as I said, we have only 4 systems. I'm not sure about this MDG system. So we are using this one. This is our EWM dummy, and this is our ECC. The standard one or the regular one. These 2 things are not being used or used for some other purpose. We will not worry. So now I just take the dummy one, EWM. And as I said, only one model. Don't try to create a new model. Just use the EWM model. That's good enough. And say create entries. If I want to check the entries, if anything exists, then I can check. No entries maintained so far. So I can just say create entries. Meaning I want to create all entries for inbound, for outbound, even for production material request. To send the PMR, to send the lean version of the production order, I can check all. Or if I want to do it clinically or specifically for this, I can select the appropriate box, radio box, and then radio button, and then I can do it. So here I select all and then create the entries. So it says these are the BAPIs, being created. We know these things. Change BAPI, replica BAPI. Okay, I'm done. So now I can check the entries. It's all okay. Data correct for warehouse number. And as I said, this transaction you will not have access. So you go to BD64 and here go in change mode. And EWM is the sending system. Sorry, the sending system is the ECC. It's going to the dummy system. And then these are the BAPIs. And just keep opening all the folders. Click on the receiver determination. Here you see, so far, yeah, 17 warehouse is enabled now. So done, access number 1 and 2 completed.
Rajan, in case of decentralized, can we connect multiple clients to the one system?
Yes, multiple ECC can point to one EWM. Yeah. Now, as I said, we are done with 1, 2, and 3. The distribution model also completed, and then you could appreciate the significance of business system group. Just now, somebody asked so the same question, right? If there are multiple ECC pointing to one EWM, and assuming the same product code being used, it's slightly tricky. If it is non-harmonized. If it's harmonized, then it's okay. But if it's non-harmonized, then you need to implement some. You need to have some considerations or some special notes are there, so which has to be kept in mind. Then just quick time check. 10:17. Okay, so let's talk about the interactions happening, right? We know the forward interactions is pretty straightforward, the one which is happening from ECC to EWM. All that we are doing is delivery replication and delivery changes. Whereas the reverse communication from EWM, it's more complex, I would say, like the delivery split message, the change message. Even keep in mind the delivery can be replicated from EWM to ECC also. Sometimes we create the delivery first in EWM and then replicate it back to ECC. You know, and the most important thing is the GR message and the goods issue message are sent to ECC. If you see broadly speaking, these are the things happening. S4 core to EWM, delivery replication and delivery changes. Even we can send the production order in the form of production material request or the EGR. There are 2 ways of replicating the PO or the production order, the purchase order or the production order. One in the form of EGR, expected goods receipt, and the other one is PMR. Just now we saw that there is one more BAPI available for the sending the production order. This is only required for the one of the scenario called advanced production integration scenario. And when it comes to EWM to the S4 core, delivery quantity changes, delivery split, batch split, and then the main one is the GR and GA, goods receipt and goods issue postings. Rejection, in the case of inbound, we reject the delivery. The case of outbound, we say a pick denial. You know, yesterday I tried to show this, but unfortunately, there were some bugs in the delivery cancellation. I had to work in the weekend maybe with the developer and then get it fixed. So it's anyway exceptional scenario. Uh, but just keep in mind for the receiving, EWM is the master system because there could be some deviation with regards to the ASN. The vendor might send some details in the ASN, but actually speaking, the physical receipt may be a different scenario compared to the ASN. So that's why for inbound, EWM is a master system, and for outbound, it's sort of slave system, wherein you can't straight away reject the deliveries or outbound deliveries. You have to do a proper pick denial, you know, wherein you are searching the warehouse for the material, and if it's not there, then if you have configured the system to send the pick denial, then it can send the pick denials. Similarly, there are direct material postings, meaning you can do some scrapping or sampling or issue to some cost center. These are non-delivery interfaces for which we don't need delivery documents. Also, there is keep in mind that there's something called direct ODO scenario, right? Direct outbound delivery, wherein the delivery is first created in EWM and then replicated back to ECC. Any questions? Even it can go 1 mile or one step ahead, and then EWM can trigger a PO creation or STO creation, provided the configurations are maintained. And just also keep in mind the EWM can remotely explode the bill of material. The bill of material master data is just not applicable for EWM. It's meaning it's not replicated to EWM, but still EWM can using a body, it can remotely explode the bomb and bring in the component details to the EWM whenever we do the kitting to stock, kit to stock function. Um, are there any questions on this slide? This is quite comprehensive one. I mean, try to understand that the reverse communication from EWM to ECC is more tricky, and there are more number of handshakes happening while compared to the one flowing from ECC to EWM. Okay, let's take a maybe 15 minutes break. It's now 10:20. Let's just catch up at 10:35. Um, are there any questions before we go for break?
Rajan, one question on the integration, right? So
Hmm.
you just spoke about inbound deliveries, outbound deliveries, but there are some ad hoc movements also, right? Like transfer postings, which they trigger in ECC. Sorry,
Yeah,
in ERP.
you're talking about the stock transfers or the posting changes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
those
it
will
depends
again.
actually. If you are if you want to do it, initiate it from ECC, it's okay. But if you are want to trigger it from EWM, it's also okay. I would recommend if it's not initiated by quality department or other modules, then it makes sense to give the control to EWM triggered functions only. Meaning within the monitor, or there are some transactions in EWM from where you can trigger these posting changes or stock transfers. Else it can be triggered in Migo. Migo, whenever you do the, for instance, the material to material transfer or batch to batch transfer, it creates a posting change delivery.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was more thinking of more a scenario where any stock is moved from an EWM managed location to an IM managed location for
Yeah, those are ad hoc goods issue. The one
yeah,
which we talked about, non-delivery interface, the scrapping, the sampling.
yeah.
This IM location moving directly from EWM to IM location falls under the same category called ad hoc goods issue.
Okay, so for this also posting change delivery will be created, right,
No,
in
in this
EWM.
case, there is just a material document. For example, if you're doing EWM to IM location, it just creates a 311 moment type, or maybe a 411 moment type.
Yeah, for like 311 movement type, I move in S4 core. So, but in EWM also we have to pick the stock from a particular bin, right? That for the physical movement. So it has to replicate to EWM using a delivery or a material document directly.
No, I'm saying that this. Let me just show you in the system so that it will clarify. rather than holding it. It's easy, so that's why I can directly show you without much time delay. Okay. So if I go to this transaction ad hoc goods issue, ADGA, so here I can do many things, right? One I can do, for example, sorry. So I can do storage location, post it to the non-warehouse location, which is your IM location, or I can do scrapping, sampling. All these activities are possible. So let me just show you one example. In my warehouse EW07, for instance, if I want to take it from the clarification area, let's say T Y970, I guess, storage type, Y970 clarification zone. I want to show the, not the scraps. I don't manage the scrap stock. So just want to post it in IM location. Just post it in IM location. Show me the stocks. Okay, enter the storage location. I just need to know the storage location. If there's any IM location, let me just see if I have any location, IM location. There should be some, I don't remember. Um, Definition, maintain storage location, 1710. Maybe take IM, uh, 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 IM01, yeah, okay. So IM01, and then I execute. So let's take one HU, for example, this is Y970. Oh, this is a nested HU. Don't want to complicate the things. So let me just take a simple one. Oh, I don't have many. What about this one, SP1? This is okay. How much quantity I have? Okay, 3 kilogram or 3 pieces. Fine. So the 3 pieces, I can just trigger movement directly to the this carton HU. You can just post the PGI to the IM location. So job done. You see the warehouse material document is created here. And if I'm lucky, I just go to the MB51 if you see any posting happened today. For my plant code, today's date, if any 311 or 411 for that matter, I think 411. So there you go, so we move this SP1 point whatever 375 cotton point cotton. So there's a 411 movement type happened. And if you check the material document here, the warehouse document number is referenced here. The EWM number 7 followed by zeros and 634 is shown here, so that that reference, just in case the same number. If I made a mistake, then I can reverse that document also. I can say cancellation, cancel GA document, and then I can put in the document number. So I can just copy this number and I can just put in the number and I can reverse the document as well. Okay, another number is created, and hopefully you'll have one more 411 created to take it back to the EWM location. Understood?
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Clear right now? Okay. Okay, with that, we will take a break. We are pretty much done with the unit number 1. The basics overview, why EWM, and a bit of comparison with the ECC WM. And also we could appreciate the system integration. I'm not going to talk about the document integration now. It's quite dry subject, and we'll just keep it for maybe, once we get some good feel on the org elements and master data, then we will circle back or come back um, to this document integration. But if you're SD consultant, mostly, I'm not sure, consultants also can appreciate, but SD consultants for sure, they do it, day in, day out. Let me just give you a high level thing. So in ECC, we call it a document type or delivery type, depending on the context. For example, in a PO, we say document type, whereas when it comes to sales order, we say um, or delivery type. We say document type or delivery type, one and the same. Similarly, item type or item category, one and the same. These are synonymously used, so don't literally take them. Even if Sometimes I say item type, item category. You can just say item level and header level. Header level controls are controlled by the document type or the delivery type. All right, item level controls are at the item type level or item category level. So basically, we have these two controls, and these document type first we need to map it to EWM. So, for example, the EWM consultant should work closely with the SD consultant and also with the MM consultant. If there are any Z document type, for sure, any implementation we don't touch the standard one. That's not a recommended approach, right? So we copy the standard and we create a ZLF or ZTAN or whatever ZIG or ZOG. So accordingly, those document type needs to be mapped to EWM also. Why? Because the similar functionality is expected in EWM as well. For example, okay, before going there, there is one more attribute available. That is just to differentiate. For example, one ECC document type can translate into multiple EWM document types through that code initiator or communication chain. Initiator, communication chain, or code initiator, they are one and the same. So one to many relationship. For that reason, we have an additional attribute. In this example, there are two deliveries which are initiated from Migo, DIG. Nevertheless, we have one for repetitive manufacturing, the other one for a regular manufacturing order. So in EWM, we have two document types, INBI and INBM, just to show you an example. And then the item categories are again mapped. Here we have the table wherein the ECC document type or delivery type, whatever, and then the item type or item category. Then here we have the EWM document type in turn mapped to the item type. Right? So um, there are other attributes as well. For example, a catch weight product, we can just have an additional item type specifically for a catch weight product. And this is a big topic. You know, if you are very good in this STO, intra company, two-step with all the movements, then you can influence using this field so that we can get an additional item type, even though the item type is same in ERP. So the bottom line is, why do we need to create the Z document type or Z item types? In SAP we talked about, right? In SAP it's all documents only, mostly document structure, organized hierarchically, like a header and then items. Then we know some are the items field values. At the header it's like a shipping point, a goods receiving point, the goods recipient, and item level material quantity, batch, country of origin, expiration date, so on and so forth. Now, this is a snapshot of the ECC config only, SD configuration, so or LE configuration. So we have this common attribute called document category. This is sort of sacrosanct. People don't touch this configuration. All that we are doing is just copying this delivery type and then modifying them. Maybe storage location rule we are modifying, or output procedure, or text determination procedure, right? Or a partner determination procedure. Similar controls are there at the item type also, or item category also. The incompletion procedure. For example, this field, if it is not populated, then what's the status of the delivery? It should be treated as incompleted or completed. And then the partners, for example, what are the partners applicable for this document type? Maybe sold to party, shipped to party, billed to party, or intermediate warehouse. The text, which text you want to copy all the way to EWM also, and maybe show it in the mobile device as a shipping instructions or pick instructions. Screen sequence group, for example, which fields you want to make it mandatory or optional, or just display only. Similarly, status profile in EWM we have a lot of statuses available, like pick, pack, the GTS status, a custom status you can introduce. It's all about status. And also we can make the status as a binding for incompletion. The incompletion and status can work together to produce the desired results as well. So just keep in mind, these are called procedures in ECC. Similarly, in EWM we have something called um, profiles. These are the different profiles available. Pretty much whatever we have seen earlier, those are called profiles here in EWM. Status management profile, text control profile, field control, incompletion control, and this one is most important one, the action profile. This is the triggered by the PPF post processing framework. This is pretty much everywhere, you name it. For example, creation of task or assignment of delivery items to the wave, or any printouts for that matter. If you want to print a label or a physical inventory count sheet, or packing slip, bill of lading, all that are triggered by the action profile. This can be compared with your NACE, the output procedures. Partner processing, again, reference document, which document you want to show it in the delivery, the reservation number, or the the sales order number, or even the quotation number. Those stuff you can define here. Dates and times are most important as well, especially in the outbound. The planned goods issue time, or the production order start time. So those timestamps will have some correlation in EWM as well. And this is a screenshot of the status management. As I said, there are several status available. The rule of thumb is this: one means not started, zero is not relevant, of course, and nine is completed. So one is not started, nine is completed, and two is partially completed. So we are having sort of two or three controls at the status level. And we can have some custom status also. If you want to, for example, if you want to capture the serial number, you can just introduce one custom status and ensure that the serial numbers are captured, completed, before triggering the goods issue, or maybe before doing the loading activity. Just an example. So these are the different controls. For that reason, we normally create a Z document type or a Z item type, uh, and then finally assign them to the these profiles. You see, all of the profiles are there, and the Z profiles or the Y profiles are assigned to the item type for item level controls, or to the document type for header level controls. The simple reason could be a number range, because you want to have a separate number range, or it could be a complex controls like the status profiles or the quantity offsetting profiles. Um, any questions on these slides? Understanding why there is a need for a Z document type, item type, pretty much everyone knows, because we don't want to use the SAP standard that can be kept as reference while we copy them, and then we change them, or tweak them, or fine tune them. Um, and these are the different profiles, and these are nothing new about it. These are similar to what we do in ECC, especially in the SD module, or in the LE module. Are there any questions from the SD folks, Trevan, KV, or what? Subba?
No, Rajan.
All clear? So that's the same thing we are doing. And equivalent of the category, right? What we see here, the document category J for LF, and then maybe EL, we have 7 or something for inbound. Similarly, we have the SAP given document categories in EWM also. Like they have given 3 for the posting change request and the notifications. This can be ignored. This is just anyway becoming an obsolete topic nowadays. So no more people are much worried about this notification, especially in S4 implementations. Now we have only 4 documents left, and of course in outbound we have one more document. We know the significance of this document as well, for the late outbound delivery split, and also for the whatever the invoice before goods issue. So one we have for inbound, the other one for outbound, one for posting change, and another for stock transfer. Okay, so now with this combination, again, the document category and document type will help you to determine the controls. Same like we have the combination of, whenever we do the delivery type, it just goes hand in hand with the document category. Similarly, item category also goes in hand with the document category. The combination of that is basically, providing the desired results. So similar to that, we have the combination here. Just want to highlight. And this is for EWM documents. Are there any questions? Okay, with that, I'm done with unit 1. And now let's move on to the unit 2. Slightly interesting one. Okay, I would like to request you guys to pay more attention on this. And unit 2 is the org elements of master data, the structural elements, building blocks. Those are more important, the ones which are used to design your warehouse. by seeing this config, one should be able to imagine and appreciate the warehouse, without even visiting the warehouse. That would be a good way of designing the solution. If an experienced consultant, like me, if I observe the configuration maybe for 1 or 2 days, I should be able to imagine the product flow, the process flow, all that we should be able to appreciate. So now, um, the agenda for this today, or maybe tomorrow as well, we're going to discuss about the structural element, the linkage to the logistic structure, meaning the warehouse structure linkage to the logistics execution elements like the plant, the shipping points, and then some storage concepts like pick point, ID point, different concepts in EWM. Storage section, the activity area, it's a new term, activity area, which is equivalent to the pick-in area. Much more features are there in activity area, whereas the pick-in area is sort of lean functions, and then the bin master, jumping to the master data, and from there on all the master data like the work center master data, the packaging specification, product master data, and also we will try to understand this terminologies: supply chain unit, PED, owner and custodian, and finally how to integrate this master data. So far we have completed the system integration, and also we talked about the document integration in terms of having a Z or Y document type and what are the controls we have. But I have not shown in the system. Maybe I'll just take some time and then show it in the system. Now here, pretty much everyone knows that the plant and storage location are assigned to the intermediate warehouse, and this intermediate warehouse in turn is assigned to the main warehouse. Now, plant highest logistics org unit. This is an operational facility within a company. It basically subdivides an enterprise, whether it's a material planning plant or a procurement plant, or it could be a warehouse distribution center, or it could be simply a maintenance plant. But we are interested in the distribution centers and the or the warehouse as a plant code. So one plant corresponds to one company code, and multiple plants can be in one company, not the other way around. One plant can't be in multiple company code. These things the plant is the one which brings in the address and zone information. We don't have a plant concept in EWM. That's why we have the supply chain unit. Uh, Storage location, as in we know that this is the one wherein we have the aggregated or the accumulated stocks are managed at the storage location level. And if there are different building stocks, for example, raw material, finished goods, or if a client dealing with plumbing items, electrical items, maybe there are different storage locations, one for plumbing, the other one for electrical goods. Um, Intermediate warehouse number is just a technical requirement to connect the logistics entities to the warehouse structure, and also it's a representation of a single facility. The warehouse number, just a complete complex where we can manage even different buildings that are there in the near vicinity. Maybe in a 5 kilometer radius or 10 kilometer radius, still they can be managed with one warehouse number. If there are frequent movements there, and if authorization is not a big deal, or these considerations of course are there, but still just in case. So there are multiple options, with regards to the plant and S-log assignment. So we can have SPSW, single plant, single warehouse, or a dedicated plant warehouse. Single plant, multi warehouse we have, and then the multi plant, single warehouse. So these are the three combinations you see. Just get the point. Okay, so multi plant, single warehouse, and then single plant, multi warehouse, and then dedicated plant warehouse. So single plant, single warehouse, and single plant, multi warehouse, and multi plant, single warehouse. Done. Any questions on this and on the previous slides? All good. Siva, Manish, Govind.
Yep. Yes, sir.
But to freshers, Chandru, Saurav, Swarna. You guys are following, getting some
Yeah,
It's
this is
clear,
clear
kind
to
of it.
Rajan.
plant.
Clear? Oh, great, Swarna. Yeah. Okay, so now moving on. These are the possible, structures for a business suite customer, who are not migrated to S4HANA. So the clients, different clients, maybe, it's just not one client, maybe different clients, maybe having one or other of this kind of, assignments. So some clients may be running, or some locations may be running in inventory management. Some of them may be running in lean WM, and of course in WM, ECC WM, and the DWM, the decentralized warehouse management, the predecessor of EWM, and EWM classical, not yet migrated to S4HANA, right? Um, or S4HANA EWM itself, some of the sites may be running in S4HANA, implemented EWM S4HANA, or it could be non-SAP WMS solution. So these are the possible, way of storage location mapped to, or mapped or maintained in the form of the warehouse extension, I would say. Some still remains in IM, but others are all, warehouse managed. Are there any issues in this understanding, this slide understanding? Let me know if you have any clarifications. All right. So now, if you're thinking of S4HANA implementation, so SAP just putting a end to this WM, right, by 2027 or maybe some more years. So the lean WM customers, they have the opportunity to move to stockroom management. While the WM customers, if they are simple setup, then either they can move to stockroom management, or they can take the basic license. But if it's real complex WM, then maybe most likely they might go and take an advanced embedded option, or they might take a decentral S4HANA, right? These are the possible things. Either they can take a decentral S4HANA, or they can take the advanced or basic license, the blue arrows, or the stockroom management. But the lean WM guys, mostly, they might implement the stockroom management. Okay. And the DWM ones, decentralized customers, most likely they will go the S4 and a decentral. But if they are taking the embedded option, that would be considered as a retrograde step, but nothing stops them. There is no migration guide for them. SAP doesn't provide a backward migration, or backward looking. This considered as a not a forward option, because already they are in decentral WM. But if they are migrating just because of the embedded advantage, they have to do it as a without much usage of the migration guides. Actually, other than that, it's straightforward. Some, of course, the classical customer, sooner or later they will be migrating to S4 HANA. And you just keep in mind, in S4 HANA also nowadays the license, I think, I'm not sure about this nitty gritties or the nuances, but it's all happening in the cloud only now. On-prem license are not sold anymore. Any questions on this understanding? Slide understanding? Hello, Aditya, Shiva. No,
It's
all
clear,
good.
Raj.
There. Okay, so typical warehouse flows, right? You could see, I'll just show some flows. Maybe I'm not sure whether I did it. Okay, so here we have this transportation unit, or also called as TU, the truck, you can say loosely. The truck is docked to the door, and then we do the unloading. The unloading is step one. And from the 9030, which is our door storage type, you move it to the GR staging bay. And here you do all the basic, inspection, and then move it to the deco station, deconsolidation station, wherein you do the deco activity, the separating the two products, because this needs to be put away in different activity areas or different consolidation groups, or maybe in different storage types. Um, this is one example of unload, deco, and then put away. Another example in the outbound scenario is, so you're doing the each picking or maybe case picking. You're going with the pick HU, a plastic tote, and then pick those loose items onto this plastic tote, and then bring those totes to the pack work center. And in the pack work center, we transfer the products from the tote to the cartons or the shipping cartons, and then we stage them, and it's loaded and goods issued. PPSL, pick, pack, stage, load. And this we talked about, I think, or not yet, I'm not sure. So this is one more thing, like your door, that staging bay, and then This is your production receiving, and this could be your ID point, where the sensor is detecting the dimensions, the contour, the label, all aspects before giving it to the crane, and then the crane does the put away. So this is a LOSC scenario, layout oriented storage control. Even though the conveyor is doing some action, this is not process oriented. This is layout oriented. When we say process oriented storage control, that means process happening in most likely in a work center or in a staging area, right? Now,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry. The previous slide, there is a plastic container, right? You are taking it from rack to plastic and moving it to the staging area. So the plastic container is HU
The
or resource?
Pikachu is a Pikachu.
Big HU, okay.
Yeah, several such plastic containers can be put on a cart. The cart can also be mapped as a Pikachu if you want,
So,
or the
so
cart
the
is a resource only. Yeah,
okay, so the pick HU is when it's reached to the packing area and then it's packing to that
ship HU.
shipping carton, so that it will be unpacked in the ship. The pick HU is unpacked in the
Yeah,
shipping
the
area.
Pikachu may be a reusable HU, right? That plastic tote may be carrying identification, which will be circling back and forth actually. Yeah.
Okay, so it should be unpacked in the system.
System wise, yeah, you transfer it or move the contents. You call it unpack. That's the right term. Maybe you move it to the ship HU.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, welcome, man. Now, this is a left-hand side. We see the logistics elements, the plant storage location assigned to the intermediate warehouse, and the intermediate warehouse in turn connected to the main warehouse. And this is our warehouse structure, right? So storage type. I'll come to that in a moment. Section, and then the bins. Bins is the master data. Nevertheless, we create a structure also if it follows a standard, identifiers or nomenclatures. Then there is something called activity area. Finally, in a given bin, we can have the quant. If the bin is empty, there is no question of quant. The existence of a material in a bin is called quant. Okay, and there could be a normal quant or a HU quant, meaning if there are HUs sitting in a bin, and if there could be a mixed HU, in that case, the HU acts as an intermediate layer between the bin and the quant. Now, let's see what is a warehouse number, right? This is where the entire complex, see the entire physical complex is a warehouse number, mapped as a warehouse number. And as I said, even the adjacent facilities, not to be worried, 2, 3 buildings in the same compound can be mapped as one warehouse number. And there are different types of warehouses. Anyway, we don't have this classification. If you want, you have to do some custom development for reporting purposes. But normally, we are focused much on the distribution center warehouses and the service parts warehouse. Production warehouses are comparatively, simpler. Raw material warehouse or the production warehouses, and the cross stock or transit warehouse, we talked about it. The Flipkarts or the Amazons delivering to the intermediate point, and from there, you go and collect it from your allocated pigeon slots or the slots. So here, the recommendation is there. If the physically separated by longer distance, cities, regions, time zones are different, then go for a different warehouse number. And just now or a while ago, I showed you, right, the global data, like the weight, volume, the calendar information are maintained at the warehouse number level, and some important, warehouse process type and procedures with regards to the uh, palletization are maintained at the warehouse level. And most importantly, the supply chain unit is mandatory one-to-one assignment, and also the attributes IN and RO or SO. Those are important as well in the supply chain. So this is the one, right? The supply chain unit is manually created. Earlier for classical customer, we used to use the core interface, but for decentral customer, SAP has reverted back to IDOC mechanism. So no more, the core interface being used. The core interface, I don't know what's the rationale, but the IDOCs are being used in the decentral S4HANA implementations. Only the classical customers are still using the core interface. So core interface has some advantage also, wherein you can send the plant and shipping point. But in the case of S4HANA decentral, the plant and shipping point, there's no provision. You got to create the supply chain unit manually and assign it to the warehouse. It's a one-to-one. Okay, now one more way of depicting the structure, warehouse structure. Here we see the doors. And from the door, we do the unloading and then maybe move it to the deco station or to the quality station or maybe to the VAS workstation. And then you do some activities and you do a put away to the rack storage or to the fixed bin, either to the fast moving or slow moving, depending on the product, velocity or product nature. And when it comes to the outbound, you normally pick from fixed bins. The fast moving items are kept here in the pick face locations. From there, you pick, pack them, and stage them. Maybe if you're moving a complete pallet, the pallet can be straight away moved to the staging bay, skipping the packing work center. So when it comes to staging area, then you do all the manifesting or maybe overpacking or consolidation, and finally you trigger the goods issue. If there is a yard management, then the yard comes into play. So yard management means you do the check-in and then maybe you capture the weight or tare weight, or the in the case of inbound maybe the exact weight or the total weight or the gross weight. And then maybe if the doors are not available, you may be moving it to the parking lot, and from the parking lot you move it to the door. It's called dock to the door, and then you do unloading or loading, whatever. In the case of outbound, you just load it and then you trigger the goods issue, either when the loading is completed or when the truck departs from the checkout gate. Any questions on this slides? Hmm? Hello, Manish, Shravan, Govind is following.
Yeah, just pause here. Let me go through once again. I mean, we have to.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Yeah, the previous slide, the layout.
Previous slide, yeah, this one, yeah, okay.
No, no, not this one. I think.
Which?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So okay. Thanks.
So at the end of the day, we have only three elements, right? Storage type, the light blue color, and then the gray color section, and then the yellow one, the bins. Storage type, sections, and bins. So storage type is again nothing but grouping of bins. Section is also grouping of bins. These two are just grouping of bins, but for different reasons. So storage type, right? What is storage type? We talked about whenever we say storage type, it could be bulk storage or ASRS. This is the bulk storage, and ASRS we talked about, right? The high bay warehouses, and then this is rack storage, and this may be your shelf storage or your pick face location, which is called a floor rack in this case, or this could be your mezzanine. Again, sort of shelf storage only. And then it could be cold storage, hazardous material storage, yard storage, forward picking area. This is a forward picking area. So different types of storage are called storage types in EWM. Even the storage type is a ECCWM term as well. Storage type or storage area, it's one and the same. Uh, so it depends, right? For example, here you see the bin attributes and bin level is deciding on the storage type. Even though this is part of the same structure, you see the level 0 and level 1, these are called pick face. This is a separate storage type by itself, and the top levels are buffer storage. Whenever the stock goes below the threshold, you do the replenishment. So these are called pick face locations. The human being, they can directly pick without the need of any equipment, maybe a 5 feet high or 6 feet high, depending on. Then these we talked about, these are for the perishables or the bottled items, the beverages, or even for the chemicals and the bulky items. You don't want to place them in a bin and then it's just going to be lying there for a day or two, or maybe you are effectively utilizing the space. You don't have a very high ceiling maybe to go for a 5 level or 6 level high. At the same time, you want to utilize the capacity very well. So in that case, you go for bulk storage. So as I said, most of the configuration control are at the storage type level. If you know pretty much all the configuration at the storage type level, like say 10 to 15% or 15% of EWM, Now, as I said, storage type has several roles to play in EWM. Standard storage type is the one which is a final storage or the destination storage. ID point, pick point, and there is a combination of ID and pick point. Then staging area group, work centers, doors. Again, work center comes staging area. It's a combination role. If you're quite tentative, like we have the ID and pick point combination. Similarly, we have the work center and staging area together. Then we have the production supply. These are the different roles, and the programming controls are written based on the roles only. So all our ABAP, all the coding logics are considering these roles. So whenever we configure, we should take the appropriate roles. So let's talk about some ID points before showing something in the system. So the mezzanine, the mezzanine, you can't take the equipment. You just need to climb the stairs, and then here the each picking or the tote-based picking happens. Whenever the requirement is less than a pallet load, you directly take it from here. And the receipt also, normally you receive a complete carton or a tote and place them. You don't distribute them in different bins. That's about mezzanine. And then the ID point, we talked about the ID point, right? The stocks which are received most likely from production. Here we check uh, the dimensions, the contour, and then contour, shape, label, and any other defects mostly detected by the sensor, and just hand it over to the crane, assuming this is the crane, and then doing the put away. If there is any issues detected, then you send it back to production for rework. Or this could be simple, and over points. For example, you're receiving in the ground level, and then it's coming through the lift, and then you do the put away on the first floor, put away in the first floor. Yeah. So as I said, it could be ID point or drop point or and over point. It's pretty much one and the same, but ID point is slightly tricky, or there are some additional features to the ID point. You guys are troubled with the background noise? Let me know. I'll just pass here for some time. It's they're just going. Um, I think they're.
No issues, no issues.
It's 11:20 now. I myself finding it difficult. I just closed all the doors and windows, but they're going full board, right? I think they're clearing the body. Huh. Oh my God. Yeah, is it okay? Shall I continue? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
right.
okay.
Okay,
Yes.
it's okay, right? Not that bad. Hmm? Okay, so the pick point is just a counterpart, right? ID point is used in the inbound scenario, and pick point is used in the outbound scenario. Whereas the handover point or the P&D zones are common. It's just applicable for both inbound and outbound. That's why you might have seen ID come pick point roles as well. So pick point. The moment I say pick point, this is layout is coming into play. The aisle may be dark and narrow. You can't do the partitioning within the aisle. So you got to bring the complete HU to the floor area, and then take whatever you want and put back the leftover pallet, maybe at the end of the shift or maybe the next day. This is like mostly applicable for just not the see the you normally keep fast moving items or high velocity items in a very narrow aisles. Like in that scenario, you can move the complete HU, maybe a mixed HU also, and then those SKUs are needed by for multiple deliveries. So several customers are needing the same product, so it makes sense to bring the product to the pick point for partial requirements. But just in case if the customer needs a full pallet, it doesn't make sense to take it to pick point, right? It can skip the pick point and directly the full pallet can be moved to the staging area, goods issue area. So pick point, it just the layout is determining, but at the same time it could be a fast mover as well. And keep in mind it's just only for the partialing needs. If there is a full need, meaning full HU is required, it skips the pick point. So it's smart enough to know whether to skip or to route it via the pick point. Now, door and staging area, again, one more role. These are different storage types, but roles to play. Door, the door is just uh, where the TUs are docked to facilitate unloading or loading activities. And door is a I section here. You can see it connects the yard and the warehouse, right? It is just a common entity which needs to be duplicated. Maybe the door bin is created twice, one for the warehouse, another one for the yard, and these two door bins are mapped with the common door entity. And door to staging area relationship could be one to many or one to one or n to one. And we can dedicate a door for inbound or outbound purposes, or if there is a need to use it both for unloading and loading, then we can use it for both. And assignment of supply chain unit is optional, not like warehouse. Warehouse it's mandatory, but door assignment to supply chain unit is optional. Just in case if you are looking at a specific door, maybe a rail door or rail side yard, and you want to have some loading equipments, and you want to track them in the supply network, then you might do that optional activity. Staging area. This is an area or entity adjacent to the door, and it's we talked about, right, used to organize the flow of goods just before loading or immediately after unloading. And the usage we talked about: verification, inspection, labeling, final packing, organizing, blah blah blah. Then the staging area can be mapped granularly using the three elements or the three tools at our disposal: storage type, section, and bin. So if you see, we call it staging area group, the white block, which is nothing but your storage type, and staging area, which is your section, and staging bay is a bin. So why do we need to go to this extent of doing this meticulous mapping? Why? Because you may be needing a loading sequence. For example, the pallet number 1 to 10 has to be brought in bay number 3.31. Pallet number 11 to 20 to 3.32, so that these pallets gets loaded first. Maybe they get unloaded last. They are last in the trip. The customer is the final customer in the trip. So that's why there is a loading sequence required. Or this could be simple consolidation. For example, all the products that are ordered for a single customer or for a single route can be converged or merged in the staging bay. So that's the main idea of mapping using these three elements: staging area group, staging area, and staging bay. Nothing but storage type, section, and bin. Any questions on these roles so far? Hello?
No, Rajan. It's clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's finish the work center and then jump into the system. So work center, we talked about. Again, work center, we create a storage type with normally a general storage type, work center. And work center, we know nothing but a table and people doing some activities. What are the activities they normally do? Deco, wash, quality, and packing. And the role is, you could have a I means it's a work center, or C, it could be a ID and pick point configured as work center, or it could be a combination E, pure work center, or a combination role I. So is very easy to remember. The role is ICE. And 4x4. 4x4 means four wheel by four wheel, you can say, but this is four. The put away rule is normally a general storage, and also the capacity check is turned off. Normally, we don't activate any capacity check in the work center. So the capacity check normally is turned off. And so some of the controls, not to be worried much, but just for your information at this point in time. Before I move to the section, let me just show it in the system. Just keep asking your questions if you have any. What happened? Siva, KV, you guys are Slightly quiet today. You guys there?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay. Right now, let me just show you the storage type. I'll start with the warehouse number. Okay. So EWM master data storage type. Let's just get into the warehouse number control one more time and see. Um, okay, so as I said, the global data is maintained here: weight unit, volume unit, time unit, the calendar, and also some special stock types are maintained for replenishment and for physical inventory. Some WPTs are maintained, especially for loading and unloading, and the WPTs that are required to move the HU from source to resource, or for that reason we maintain some WPTs here. And then some special procedures for peak HU and palletization procedure are sent here. And also we maintain the travel distance calculation, whether we use the Euclidean matrix or the Manhattan matrix or something. And some interesting things we will learn at this point in time, that this frame is quite important. And then I'll just go to the storage type. Yeah, storage type. That's where you see a lot of config controls are here. If you just compare with the ECCWM, right, I would say easily 2 times or 3 times the more config. So if you just compare quickly with the ECCWM controls at the storage type level, so here you see a simple world, but here it's we have more features, more complexities, and more number of real world scenarios. Potentially we can map them. So now, what are the important things you should concentrate now? Storage type role is important. So we talked about the roles: pick point, ID point, combination role, st- staging area, again a combination role, then the door and the yard. Yard is again a role. Yard could be one to many, one to many, or many to one. For example, a huge yard catering to multiple warehouses, or there could be one warehouse having multiple yards also, which is very rare. Um, then there are something for automated warehouses also. These two are for automated warehouse. Um, then what else you should know? We talked about the HU requirement, right? It's quite flexible here. Uh, in a given bin, we can have both the stocks, HU stocks and non-HU stocks. If you say HU allowed but not a requirement, or you can say strictly HU allowed. For example, when I show the demo, the rack storage, uh, it was having HU mandatory. So for that reason, we were doing the packing when we do the demo. Um, what else you need to know? This ID point active, pick point actives are there, and then pretty much the rules are taken from ECCWM only. You see the put away rules. We have addition to stock, next empty bin. Next empty bin is directly for some standalone modules. There is no scope for addition, so you can straight away give it as the empty bin. General storage area normally given for work center and the yard storage, and consolidation group is used for outbound, especially for the packing work center or the staging area, where you want to collect all the SKUs for a given customer order. You don't want to mix the different customers in one bay or one bin. So for that reason, the consolidation group will help you. Like Deco group is helping for inbound. Similarly, the consolidation group is just a counterpart of Deco group. And there is one for transit warehouse. You may be asking a question, right? There are several put away strategies, they call it. I would say the better term would be put away rules only, because put away strategy is a global term. That means you're talking about the storage type search, section search, and many things. Finally, the rule kicks in. So here you see there are many things here. You may be asking what happened to bulk storage and no, the storage unit type. So these are all separated here. The storage behavior is taking care of the bulk and pallet. And there is one more flexible storage newly introduced. And if you say fixed bin here, fixed bin is just by selecting the fixed bin is good enough. That's why it is not part of the rule. So we are getting best of both the worlds. While we check the bin, use fixed bin. Also, we need to have a rule whether addition to stock most likely. So we are having a combination, controls, or dual controls, and then maybe the bulk we talked about. Then the open is equivalent to the general storage. Fixed bins we talked about. Yeah, we will learn slowly. Just to show you, the config controls are here. There's a good amount of EWM. 15 to 20%, I would say, if you know how to use this controls for different scenarios. Any questions uh, up until now, on the storage type and warehouse number controls?
Yeah. So Rajan, for the bulk storage, do we
Hmm.
need to handle it in a separate way, or?
Yeah, the bulk storage, we need to do some additional configuration. That's why they're called behaviors. Um, for example, if you activate the capacity check at the storage type level, it's not applicable. Instead of that, you need to maintain some additional config over here, strategies, put away rules, bulk storage. We need to say it's a full bulk, or whether you allow the odd man out, the partial pallet also in the same bulk storage, or you strictly only allow full pallets. And what about the capacity, right? The capacity is maintained here for the combination of bin type and HU type, and the product indicator, which is called as the bulk stacking indicator.
Mhm.
So based on the product attribute, or based on the packaging material attribute, or the floor area, the bin length, maybe the row length, maybe 15 meters, 10 meters. So for this combination of these three entries, we maintain the max number of HUs.
Okay.
Got it, right? So maybe, for example, refrigerator, maybe you go only too high, okay? And maybe a washing machine, just a tiny washing machine, you may be keeping a 3 high. So it all depends on the product plus the row length. Some may be a lengthy row, some may be having a column, so that you have a constraint over there, or it could be based on the packaging material also. So these are the possible three things which will decide the capacity for the bulk storage. It need not be always a floor area. The bulk can be like a pushback or a drive-in shuttle, or a mole. Different types of storages are there for bulk. All right. So where are we? I think we are done with storage type and warehouse number, and we talked about the roles. Right, and then some concepts we know: mezzanine and ID point and pick point. Also, we know about the door and staging area. A yard is another storage type role. Then work center. I'll just take a pass here. And feel free to shoot your questions. What's the time? 11:30. No? Okay, let's move on. Storage section. So sometimes, it's very, very, I would say, a trap for many consultants. They might not really, utilize the storage type and section properly. For instance, that can be mapped as storage section. Some consultants, might map them as storage type. So those type of things are quite interesting. So you need to have some real experience, or face some more situations, so that whether to map them as a storage type or section, because at the end of the day, both are just a grouping of bins. But when it comes to section, we group the bins based on the dynamic nature, meaning it's a plug and play. Today, for mostly the sections are used for fast, medium, slow. For example, this is the front of your warehouse, and this one is your rear end of the warehouse, adjacent to the wall. So the fast moving items are kept here, maybe stack number 1 to
Hello,
20.
Abbas.
Hello.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, guys, can you go on mute? Okay, so based on the velocity, fast, medium, slow, or it could be like the AV items can be kept on the lower racks, and then the light ones are kept on the top racks. So it could be AV bulk light items, or fast, medium, slow. Sometimes you can have some sections for hazardous items, or the DG items, dangerous goods, or even the corrosive ones, which are maybe potentially, it might leak the battery and other things. The You can keep it on the lower levels. Yeah, rather keeping it at higher levels, and potential leakage might be there. The temperature control also can be used for sections. So sections, again, it's a plug and play. Dynamically, you can unassign and assign, or even the slotting can recommend the section changes. So you can go and encroach, from, for example, if there are more SKUs becoming fast moving because of, the pandemic or whatever reasons the demand has increased. So for that reason, you want to have more fast moving section. So you can take it from slow moving bins, the, for example, 50 bins, we can take it from slow moving and make them as fast moving section. So that's why, it's easy in the transaction code LS11, you can unassign and reassign the section indicator to the bin master. And you keep in mind the section is only applicable for put away process. Section doesn't make sense for removal because all that we are doing in picking is LIFO or FIFO only. We don't really look at the section. Maybe section can be used as an information field shown in the mobile device for the operator to narrow down the search. But if he knows the warehouse layout, then section will not help. Any questions on this slide, section assignment? So we are done until exercise number 3. I'm going to go to the exercise number 4 to do the storage type and section mapping. So before that, you need to understand what we are trying to do, So let me just um, stop sharing one for a minute. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. Sorry about that. So here we have this. This is the idea. We are trying to. This is our layout. I'll just explain what we are trying to do in the coming days. The main idea is we are going to do a lot of scenarios. So this is our explanation, the purpose of what we are doing. So we have some door storage type Y930 and then receiving staging area Y910. And we're going to have a new storage type called rack storage, DRKG. DRKG is a rack storage. And it has two activity areas, RKG1 and RKG2. And whichever mixed HUs we are receiving that are bound for this RKG1 activity area, the aisle number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe, it would be routed via Deco Work Center 1, Deconsolidation Work Center 1. Similarly, the ones which are meant for the RKG2 aisles, meaning the aisle number 6 all the way to 11 or 12, it would be routed via Deco Work Center 2. And then we have two storage types for bulk, one for full bulk, another one for partial bulk. And then we have the cart and pick phase, and then the each pick phase. T represents storage type, and the remaining 3 digits we are using for BL means bulk, and full is a full bulk, and P is a partial bulk. C is a cart and pick phase, and each pick phase. And we normally do a replenishment, from this buffer area, which is our rack storage. From there, we replenish to the cart and pick phase, or we might replenish to each also, And this is our very narrow aisle. You can't directly reach our very narrow aisle. It has to be given to the crane system. And this is our ID point. Y001 is our ID point. So before giving it to the crane, the forklift has to, pass it on the cantilever or the ID point. From there, the crane grabs it and then puts, then the put away. It does the put away. And then the TPLR is our pallet storage. So we have one more storage for mezzanine and also one GR area, GR receiving area, special parts where we receive the small and tiny parts, and maybe potentially we will be doing the inspection or counting activities. Also, we have some inbound vast work centers. So the SAP naming convention is quite straightforward. All the 8 series are all the work centers, and the 9 series are all staging area. 910 is your GR area, and 920 is your outbound staging area, 930 is your door, and the main storage is up to you. There is no template or anything. You can use whatever you want. If you don't want to use the T, you can straight away start from your naming convention. Why do unnecessarily, say T? T means a final storage. Some clients used to use the T so that, the remaining interim areas will start as Z or Y so that we can, do some sorting accordingly. Now, I don't want to complicate now, but I just give an heads up or, some initial high level discussions now. Anyway, we will be doing one more time when we do that scenario. So as I said, the TRKG, if you zoom in the rack storage, we have two activity areas, the yellow zone and then the blue zone, RKG1 and RKG2. And we have different bin types here, aisle 1 to whatever aisle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 aisle. The aisle number 5 is an interesting one. Maybe it's a special aisle to store some special products in cages. And also it has a headroom, so wherein you can keep some tall pallets. You see the warehouse structure is like this. And so here we have the aisle number 5 and 6. We have some more headroom compared to the other area. So our the topmost level, the level number E, has more headroom. And then here we keep the slow moving items normally. D and E are reserved for slow moving items. So just to give an understanding, so we're going to build our own storage type and section. So that's why I'm going to do in exercise number 4. I'm slowly building my warehouse. So you guys can take it as a homework. This today I'm giving. If you can complete exercise number 1 to 4, that would be well and good. Else we can do allocation tomorrow as well sometime for you to do the catching up. So I'm going to complete exercise number 4 so that my warehouse number 17 is just getting prepared. Any questions before I do that exercise number 4? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Rajan, no
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, we can
No,
move
Yes,
forward.
Rajan.
can move. Yeah, oh, good. Now I will just show the exercise number 4. Um, yeah, exercise number 4 for TCS. So here we go. Um, So I'm going to create a rack storage. A new storage type rack storage is being added to your warehouse, and create a new inbound staging area for special products and tiny products, as we said Y911. So we are going to create a storage type TRKG, and then it has two sections: fast section and slow section. Fast and slow section. Then we have the staging area, which is Y911, and also we have hello.
Are you sharing?
Oh my God. Okay. So- Sorry about that. Okay. So let me repeat. So we're going to create a storage type TRKG rack storage, and it has two sections, fast and slow section, and handling units are mandatory, right, for the new storage type. And we have some interim areas, or the other storage types. When I say interim areas, it means the staging areas or the work centers. These are the interim areas. So we have the 911 for the inbound special GR dock, and 921 for the outbound staging, and also one dedicated sections, a total section 0001 for each of them. And also we have some work centers created, the 811 and 831 for deco and also for outbound packing. This is expedite packing or emergency packing work center. This is what we're going to do in this exercise, and pretty much all given, what we need to do. Finally, the 911, which is our staging area, we need to do some additional configuration for 911 and 921 to enable them as staging area or to make them a staging area. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. Just watch me carefully and take the tips and tricks, and then you can do it. You need not follow this line by line. All that, if you watch me, then you can pick up some tips. I moved here, to North Madras. It's quite noisy place, and they make especially this kind of uh, ceremonies, or they do in full total actually here. So now I just go to the SPRO and then go to storage type, EWM, master data, storage type. I'm going to copy, I can do a research later, EW07, maybe a template warehouse, TRKG is there. So I just copy it from there to my warehouse number EW17. And I just check whether HU is mandatory or not. Okay. And then addition to stock, it's just not at the bin level, but to the HU. Just keep in mind the H means add to the HU, meaning I always have if there is a HU at the destination, I don't want to introduce a new HU. I just want to add to the existing HU. Right. That's what this addition to stock HU means. And I just save this rack storage. Done. Similarly, I just copy the 911, 811, all that I need to copy. So it's taking a long time. Okay, let me just selection by contents and then I go to storage type. I say show me the 811 and then append storage type or Y831. Let me clear the work centers first. Okay, choose. So I can take it from any warehouse. EW7 should be good enough. So just copy it to my warehouse. Deco workstation for group number 17. Done. Similarly, I copied the expedite packing work center. So 2 work centers. I copied it from the template warehouse. G17 done. So when we say work center, right, you should keep in mind the 4x4. 4 is put away rule 4 means general storage. And also 4 means capacity check turned off. So we don't want any capacity check in a work center area. And also the role is important, E. If you want to do the in a dedicated work center, you take it E. But if you want to do it sometimes in the staging area, sometimes in the work center, then you take it as I. Yeah. And the HU requirement preferably, mandatory. So these are the things. And then I do copy the 911 and I'm done. So basically, we are creating 3 interim areas and 1 main storage. As simple as that. At the same time, while you're doing, just stay in the display mode. Or if somebody is stubborn, anyway, the session will time out. Even if there are some stubborn guys, just kick them out. Feel free to. EW07 and then Y911, right? So I just copy them. And this is a special area for staging the small and the tiny parts. So just do it, copy to my warehouse EW17, done. And in this scenario, the role is D. D is the staging area. Okay. And again, 4x4. As I said, 4 is the one which is used both for staging area and also for the work center. Okay, any questions on this storage type creation? So if you check the exercise one time, I did Y911. Oh, I got to do Y921 also, and Y811 and 831. So done. So I'll do it real quick. I copy Y921. Are you guys following?
Yes, Raja.
Yes. Okay. Now I just copy this and make it for my warehouse 17. Done. So with regards to storage type, I just copied all 4 of them: 2 staging areas, 2 work centers, and then one rack storage. So these are things we are building. I should have shown in a different color, but nevertheless, you see here Y911 added, and Y921 is part of the outbound. So you see Y921 is there. Y921, where is Y921? Yeah, Y921. Okay, and then we have 2 work centers. One work center for staging Y911, deco work center, Y811, sorry, Y811, and one for outbound, yeah, which is Y831, expedite packing. Expedite packing. Done. Now I create the section zone. So sections, it's just a plug and play, and section, normally we use it for fast, medium, slow, or heavy, medium, bulky items, corrosive items, cool room items, hazardous items. Not a good day. Hmm. Some weird dumps are happening. Enough memory. You guys can come out, you need not try now if you have the access, just in case, I don't know, there's some memory dump is happening now. SPRO. Um, Not sure whether we saved all or four storage types. EW17. So we have this rack storage, and we have the Y811, Y831, on 921, and 911. All are there. Fine. Now I just move on. Section. As I said, we need to create a fast-moving section and slow-moving section for the rack storage. So for the rack storage, I just create two sections by copying them. EW17 and EW17 done. For rack storage, I have two sections. And for the remaining storage, I have one common section. Unlike in ECC-WM, the section is mandatory. Here, section is not mandatory. In EWM, section is not mandatory. Let me just copy it from here only. Y921, Y911, and then I just move it. Just copy for 811 as well, and 831 as well, which is our expedite packing. Okay, just copy it from here, and then maybe I'll change it. 17, 17, 17, done. So four sections for those storage types: 811, 831, 911, 921. Done. Five sections. Two for the deco workstation, one for the work in progress or the completed one, and one for the inbound one. So as I said, section we can do a granular mapping, like we do it for the staging area. Similarly, we can do a mapping of work centers also. I'll show you shortly. So the work center also we can do a mapping, granular mapping here. See here, where is it? Work center. Yeah. So in this scenario, there is a single section, right? We don't know which is a incoming, which is a completed, or which is work in progress. We don't know. But here at least we have two sections: one for the inbound one, the common one, which can be catering to multiple workstations, and this is one more section for the completed work. And this is a nice scenario where we have three sections: one inbound section, one work in progress, or the section for the ones which are going through the activity, and we have the completed one. Okay. Now in my case, I have two sections for my work center, and with that, I think the exercise number 4 is completed, or I need to do one more setup, which is the staging area. So I go to this staging area, and I need to activate on 911 on 921 as my inbound staging. The 911 is inbound staging, GR staging, and 921 is outbound staging. Okay, outbound staging. And here I can say loading can start when the first HU arrived. I need not wait for all the HUs to be there. But it depends on the client's requirement. If the client says all needs to be verified, and then we finally print the bill of lading, we check them, and then the loading can commence. In that case, we take the option number 2. And for staging bay also, we can maintain the capacity, and these capacities can be monitored or planned in the shipping cockpit transaction. So staging area capacity is okay, but work center capacity is slightly interesting scenario. Okay, so are there any questions up until now in completing the exercise number 4? This should be straightforward one, and that's what completed just in time. So I'm pretty much done for the day. I'm just unsharing my screen, and then see if you guys have any questions, or I'll maybe use some 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes. I'll just do a quick wrap up or summary of this today's session. Are there any questions from you guys? Shubha, Govinda, Shukma.
Rajan, you were going through the exercises, right? So
Mm.
I just
So
checked in the LMS. I mean, the SharePoint link looks like they're not the same.
the LMS, you will be getting the exercises. I'm just sending in the batch mode, so you'll be
Uh-huh.
getting the
Okay. Okay.
exercises that are there. I'm going to share it with Akash, exercise number 1 to 5, so that you can set up your warehouse if you can, until 4
All right.
locations. As I
This
said,
Understood.
storage,
yeah, sorry.
storage means in material master data, any difference will be there with this kind of setup, the storage types and other things. Anything additional should be there, or
Anything additional?
means what kind of master data setup will be required for this?
I told you, right? At this point in time, you focus on the important controls, like whatever we know now. The role is important, and then the HU control is important, and also talk about the something about the put away rule, maybe a 2 or a 4, or and then the capacity check we talked about. These things are important. Slowly we will learn, all the features of storage type. But as of now, these are the fields which you should be knowing, or able to appreciate the ones which we have covered. Shravan, did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
And section is not a complicated one. It's fairly simple one compared to the storage type. Storage type, that's where most of the config controls are there. I just compared also with the ECCWM. You could see it's easily, twice or thrice the features are there. More functions, more checkboxes, more radio buttons. Now, I'll just do a quick summary of today's activity, right? Or whatever we did on this yesterday and today, maybe overlap. So I just normally go here, the Q&A wrap. This document, I'm not sure whether, I think I shared it, the acronyms with Akash. So this thing also I will share with him if I have not shared earlier. Okay, so far we know, let's just quickly go through. What are the font is okay, or should I, yeah. What are the deployment options in S4 on-prem? We know the cloud and embedded option. What are the deployment options for classical customers? They have the SCM server or the NetWeaver. Why is distribution model required to distribute the transactional document, which are your delivery documents, the outbound deliveries, the inbound deliveries, and also the posting chain deliveries? Do we still need a distribution model for embedded? Of course, we still need them. The only relief or major advantage for them is the master data. It's all in the same box, so there is no need to duplicate. Somebody asked the question, right? If you are going and doing the wizard, we know the wizard is only for embedded, and the BPs are anyway there. There's no need. The wizard is not creating the BPs. So name the main BAPIs that are flowing, right? Some of the BAPIs we know, at least the replica and change. Which technology? The QRFC technology, because that's serialized and it has a dependency. The business dependency is built on it. And which are the transactional data that are transferred? We know the transactional data at the end of the day. These are delivery documents. You call them inbound delivery, outbound delivery, or posting chain delivery. Essentially deliveries. Can we delay? Yes. If we delay, the control is at the warehouse number level, and also another control at the storage, sorry, at the delivery type level. What are some of the key config prerequisites? The delivery split is mandatory, and preferably the tolerance has to be given to EWM system. Why delivery split function? To avoid a mixed bag scenario, and whether changes are possible, both IBD and OBD after distribution. Yes, the changes are possible, but OBD changes is only applicable for embedded. Unfortunately, it's sort of still a limitation with the decentral S4. So what is the purpose of business system and group? In a complex landscape directory, the partners are known so that the EWM system can send the communication back to the expected target system. What are the additional handshakes happening from EWM to ECC? There are several handshakes like the quantity change, the delivery split, the batch split, and also the GR and GA message. And EWM can do many things. It can go and create a PO or STO, or even it can create a direct outbound delivery. It can remotely explode the bomb. There's many things, we can go on and on. Where we can see the failed queues normally in the inbound side, because mostly the validation failures are most likely because the sending system, the errors are known beforehand only. So it makes sense to have the queue configuration on the inbound of the destination system. So whenever we trigger some action from EWM, the failed queues would be seen in the ECC inbound. Or if you trigger something from ECC, the failed queues will be seen in the EWM inbound. And this makes sense for decentral customers, right? For embedded anyway, it's all in one box. So how the reverse communication happens? Reverse communication thanks to the business system group, and the PPF is the one sending the QRFC messages to ECC. The header of the document, it's represented by the document category plus the document type combination. Item of a document is controlled by item category and item type plus document category. Name few service profiles. Anyone? What are the different service profiles we know, or the controls? What essential controls we have? What for we are going for a Z document type or a Z item type? So all the SD guys, S7, KV, Govind. No, am I there or thrown out? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yes, we
All
can.
good.
Yeah,
Service profiles are the ones, right, which we talked about: the text control, the field control, the status management, the incompletion control. So those are different service profiles, wherein we have the controls that are required for a given custom document type. So can a system profile be modified? No, system profile cannot be modified, but these service profiles, which are called customer profiles, they can be modified, and then you can create your own Z profile or Y profiles. So document type and item type, finally, you assign the profiles either to the document type or to the item type for header controls or for item controls, respectively. So name the three documents in EWM outbound. EWM, we know the outbound delivery in ECC, which is the LE outbound delivery. And then in EWM, we have the ODO, the outbound delivery order, and then the OD, the final delivery. What is the purpose of IDN? To do the checks and balances. Is it mandatory? No, it's not mandatory. And why final delivery is required? The OD, because of the late outbound delivery split or the invoice before GI. Okay. When it comes to org elements, what do you know? What are the org elements we know up until now? Anyone?
Storage type,
Right.
storage section, the warehouse,
Beautiful.
storage type, storage section,
Yeah. Warehouse number, storage type, section, and activity area. Even though
activity.
we are not covered the activity area, but tomorrow we are going to cover that. And the LE elements, the logistics execution elements, are the plant and the shipping points. Which interface or technology is used for master data communication? The master data communicated via iDocs for S4 customers, and master data communicated through core interface, for classical customers. So when you do core interface, we have the additional advantage of sieving the plant and the shipping points, which is not there for the IDOC world or for the S4 decentral customers. So what are the batches and characteristics? All are communicated between, we'll cover them anyways tomorrow. So let's move on. What is the possible plant S log combinations we know? single plant, single warehouse, single plant, multi, all that we know, right? If you say multi-plant, multi-warehouse, that means it's a non-existent scenario. So what is a possible ERP EWM linkage? Again, one to many, many to one. One ERP pointing to multiple EWM, or multiple ERP pointing to one EWM. So what is the obvious limitation? We know this multiple ERP EWM linkage not possible for embedded customers. Name the logistic structural element that have linkage to EWM structure, plant and storage location. What are the major EWM structural elements? Just now we talked about warehouse number, storage type, section, activity area. So what are the different types of warehouse? A raw material warehouse or a plant warehouse, production manufacturing warehouse, or it could be a service parts warehouse or a distribution center, or it could be a transit warehouse or a platform warehouse, which we say cross dock or platform warehouse. So what are some of the key considerations that will decide on the complex? The time zone and the movements between them, the authorization as considerations has to be kept in mind in deciding on the complex. So what are the key controls at warehouse number level? The global unit of measures, the weight unit, the volume unit, and time unit are maintained. And also the calendar is maintained over there. Storage type, we know. It's a nice topic, and just a grouping of bins having similar characteristics or attributes. It could be a pick face location or a rack storage or a shelf storage or a mezzanine. And also we know about the ID point and pick point. ID point is used in the inbound and pick point is for the outbound, the dark and narrow aisle. The door and the staging area also we know. The relationship also we know. And storage section, it's just a dynamic one. We just assign and unassign. Or the slotting can do the recommendation for the product based on the velocity of the product. Normally we do it for fast, medium, slow, or for the AV, bulk, and light sections. Or it could be for corrosive or cool room items or DG items, dangerous goods item. Okay, this is one important one. A storage type of section. It's like a classical trap. Many consultants, will fall in this trap, and the design would not be that efficient. Tomorrow we will discuss on that. But a little bit we know about the supply chain unit and also the assignment of supply chain unit to the warehouse number. We know. Okay, with that I'm done for the day. I'll just wait for, if you have any questions, just take it now, or else we'll say we'll meet tomorrow. Are there any clarification questions or any comments, closing comments? Aditya, Chandru, Subha, Akash, are you there? Okay, fine guys, so let's talk to you tomorrow. Take care and all the best. See if you can complete until exercise number 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raju.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.